Hello there, this is Dr. Maurine Kwende, your podcast host, and you are listening to the Empower Minutes podcast. For those who are listening for the first time, it's really a podcast to empower you with nuggets on learning and development, training, leadership coaching, entrepreneurship, and personal growth. I am a learning leader, researcher, speaker, coach, consultant, and author, and I have had the honor to empower emerging leaders become transformational leaders. So if you're a first-time manager, you're getting started in your leadership journey, please feel free to reach out to me. I'll be glad to help through my academy called the Dream Big and Bold Academy. Thank you so much for all those of you who are tuning in every week to listen to all these brand new episodes or catching up on old episodes. So thank you so much for being a fan of the podcast. And this means a whole lot to me and all the fans. So thank you so much. This week, the focus is on delivering feedback. Actually, delivering and receiving feedback. So that will be the focus of the whole month. So feedback is really a critical aspect of leadership. Feedback is also very important in the workplace, at home and at work. Leaders, employees, even in our relationships, we all need to understand how to receive and give feedback. Research also tells us that employees who get feedback at least once a month are more likely to improve their performance than those who do not. So, what do you do then when you want to receive feedback? So, let's first talk about some of the benefits of receiving feedback. Receiving feedback, it helps promote growth and productivity. It improves communication. Without feedback, we never know when we're making progress or if we're doing something wrong. Feedback definitely improves the employee's performance and grows relationships at work. Even though there are so many advantages or benefits of receiving and giving feedback, there are also disadvantages, especially when it comes to receiving negative feedback. The number one disadvantage is that it can hurt feelings. Right, so negative feedback can be difficult to hear and might even cause some, frustration or stress just by going through that. Another disadvantage is that of decreased motivation. It might even discourage people, from being motivated to do their work. Another disadvantage of feedback is negative feedback is, bringing down your self-esteem. So now that we talked about, the advantages and disadvantages of feedback, so how would you receive feedback? Here are some key points to think about. First, you want to keep an open mind. And this means being open or receptive to new ideas and different opinions. There is more than one way of doing something, and people might have a different view altogether when it comes to a given topic. So it's good to keep an open mind. Don't be defensive. You might learn something, okay? It might be good for you. So don't shut that door. Open the door and receive the feedback. The next thing you want to think about is being able to listen to the feedback that's being given to you. So use all your listening skills, right? Not interrupt the person who is giving you the feedback. Listen to what they're really saying and don't listen to what you're thinking, not what's in your head, but focus on what is being said. Do not build a bridge or be defensive, like I mentioned before. Also watch your body language, because they can also tell what you're saying and what you're not saying. Watch your tone of voice. Don't have an attitude. Don't interrupt their conversation, and our body language speaks louder than words, so you want to be able to pay attention to that. Ask questions to make sure that you understand what they're saying, and before you're responding to the feedback. So again, ask questions for clarity, right? Don't just assume like you understand what they're saying. Make sure you're clear. Go back to them and say, am I hearing you say this? Am I clear on what you're saying? So you're on the same page. Now that you've received their feedback, you've heard what they want to say, what's next is for you to reflect, right? Reflect on what they said, and then decide what you want to do. So assess the feedback and then decide, do you want to implement the feedback or not? Because the choice is yours. When you receive the feedback, what to do with the feedback is totally your choice. So if you choose to implement the feedback, you receive it, then go ahead and implement the feedback. And when you do that, your boss, your manager will see that you're really wanting to work on your personal growth. Now, you can also decide to ignore the feedback. You can also decide to reach out to someone else for another opinion, right? And so if you choose to do that, what I would suggest to do is for you to follow up. If you disagree with the feedback, consider following up and set up another meeting to discuss the feedback, or having another conversation on what has been shared. So just to recap, here are the main points. How to receive feedback. First, keep an open mind. Next, listen to the feedback. Then ask questions about the feedback for better understanding. Then reflect on the feedback, especially if it's negative, before taking action. Now take action. And when you want to take action, decide what to do. Do you want to implement the feedback? This shows your boss you're listening and taking steps to improve. Or you don't want to take action on the feedback. What do you want to do? Maybe you want to follow up with another meeting to discuss the feedback. So that's it. I hope you've learned a few things or two about receiving feedback. It could be challenging, especially when it comes to receiving negative feedback. As a final thought, since feedback is critical, it's important for every leader to receive training on how to deliver and receive feedback effectively. So this is one of the topics included in my DBBA cohort program, and also as a topic in my leadership development and professional development series. So you can learn more at www.thedbba.com. That's it for this week's podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'm looking forward to you applying these tips and letting me know how they're working for you. Have a great day. Thank you.